watching.
Subscribe. Hello, you're watching ScreenStalker. I'm Fakidor Laurie Blake. This is Chopper Pete, and that is SoCalVal, and we are here to discuss. Well, to discuss the Game of Thrones finale. No, do it in a lower key, like in a.
I sound like Kevin Nash a little bit at this level. I do.
Because we're going to talk through, so you've already done a review of the finale of Game of Thrones,
Indeed,
Chopper
I did.
Pete. We're going to talk through it in a bit more detail. And I guess what we found the most disappointing about it, beyond all of it, the granular
all
details, the small little, the straws that broke the camel's back.
Mm-hmm, yes.
The thousands upon thousands
I was
of
gonna
straws
say,
that
there's
just
a lot
fell
of
and
them.
broke them.
Yeah.
Yes, there was a lot of things that didn't go the way I think a lot of people thought. And it was very disappointing. I've seen a lot of fans that are quite angry at it. I'm not angry. I'm apathetic.
I'm
which
not
is
angry.
somehow
I'm not
worse.
angry. I'm disappointed.
Yeah.
Classic
I'm
parenting
literally-
tactic.
sad.
I'm
I'm not
parenting Game of
angry.
Thrones.
I'm just disappointed.
Yeah.
Ouch.
Yeah.
I am.
That, or you could do the maths teacher thing and just be like, Game of Thrones, you're wasting your own time. It's your own time you're wasting.
That is literally it. I'm parenting Game of Thrones because I'm not angry. I am disappointed. And that's about it. That's honestly worse than being angry. Because if I was angry,
It is.
I'd be feeling something towards it at least.
Val, you. What do you think?
Well, first of all, I was disappointed to hear that you were disappointed because, you know, a performer in any sort of genre will say that, you know, if you made somebody hate you or you made somebody love you, you made them feel something. So this guy felt nothing. You felt nothing, Pete Chopper.
Yeah, I did.
Pete of the House of Chopper.
Admittedly, it was about 5 a.m. when I was watching it because it was straight after Money in the Bank.
Yes.
And then I had to watch it straight away.
maybe you're just too tired.
So possibly
That's
I
what
was
made
tired.
you feel nothing. Is
Yeah.
No, see, because I got the feeling, like I said in my review of episode 5 of this season, that like there was a lot of anger around Daenerys' heel turn and all that kind of stuff.
Swerve.
And I get that probably comes from a place of like, you're not doing the character in the way that I wanted the character to be done. I wanted to see her
Sure.
like on the Iron Throne as a benevolent ruler, playing off the kind of breaker of chains and all that kind of a lot of the storytelling they've done with her throughout the series. I watched that and I just went, yeah, but that's exactly what they would have done. Like, it's Game of Thrones. Like, of course, like the only thing to do now that we've done, like all your favorite characters die, and it's like all your favorite characters are bad people now.
Yeah.
Like, that's great. I'm happy with that because we've had the bad guys turning into good guys, sort of, in Jaime
Sort of.
Lannister.
Who turned bad again?
Yeah.
Who turned bad again. And I was kind of on board with like the idea of setting up Daenerys as the kind of final boss. And then all of this setup that I felt episode 5 was doing turned out it wasn't set up. It was just like, rush to the end, rush to the end, rush to the end. Ha! It's all solved. We've fixed all the problems. Let's discuss it for an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is basically what
that
that
was
episode
it.
was, right? Like,
The episode was solved in the first like 10 minutes, and then it was like the Return of the King. They did not know when to end it, so
No.
they were like, "Here's the end," and then we've got another 40 minutes of endings.
yeah.
Here you go.
Get on the damn boat, Frodo! Which is what I was screaming in the cinema when I
That's
saw
weird.
Return of the King, because I needed
Oh, I
a
thought you were
wee
screaming out of Game of Thrones. I
so
thought that's
badly.
weird.
It was such a long film, and
I
I
know.
didn't want to miss any of it. I was like, I've waited so long to see this.
Oh, and now we
Get on the boat, Frodo!
And now we get to see Sam in the Shire. We
Yeah.
don't need this.
Yeah.
It was.
What I have the biggest problem with is I love Daenerys. She's a female badass. I didn't mind that she did a little bit of a heel turn. She's always been very bold, but I didn't mind that. What I minded was the way that Jon Snow. Spoiler alert! You're already watching. It's fine. The way that Jon Snow went about killing her. It wasn't in his character to do it in such a tricky manner. It was like he could have I'd rather him look her in the eyes and say he was going to do it, or say something rude and mean and then do it. But he acted like, oh, I love you, kiss, and then what a cop-out. I'm not going to repeat what I called him, but he is not a nice boy.
He's a
Honestly,
bad
the way he
man.
did it, I was like, what? Absolutely not. No. No
Yeah.
second date.
You
No second
jerkwad.
date. Yeah. You.
Well, I
can't.
actually saw I think your housemate Simon showed me a Reddit post, or it might have been Datsun. I don't know. Someone showed me a Reddit post of someone predicting what would happen in the final episode of Daenerys' conclusion, and they predicted it almost to the point of what would happen, just using cliches from other things. They were like, they're going to have a scene where they'll do a knife stab, but you won't see it at first, just to build the tension, say, did that really happen? And then the dragon's going to scream and be really mad, and then the Iron Throne's going to get burnt, and then Drogon's going to fly off and do this, and he's probably going to take Daenerys with him.
Is your friend named Bran? Is he a three-eyed raven? What the hell? That's freaky.
But that was literally just them just using cliches from other things and being like, they're going to use all of them in this. And he's like, he did it as like a mockery to say, there's no way they can do this because these are all the cliches. And then they did all of them.
It was so... that's the thing. It felt like, for everything that we saw in the last episode, this whole like crazy build-up, and then to see her we literally got like Dictator Sky, I'm going to call it. Like it suddenly... King's Landing, which has been basically a tropical paradise for most of the series, suddenly it's snowing, and also the sky is like black and grey, like, or is it ash?
Ash. I'm thinking it's ash.
Right.
Because there's a lot of fire.
But there was snow as well. That's what's so weird. Everyone said, why is it snowing there? I don't understand that. And I don't understand, like I said, how they decided to just have Jon Snow, because I always didn't like Jon Snow for the fact that he was very weak. He's always depressed. He's always crying. He's always like, ugh. And then all of a sudden he just decides then to be this wicked guy, and he's done nothing in that kind of realm the entire show. I thought that was very odd. It's very and cheap. It was cheap.
He's always been the character to make the difficult choices. I think he's always been confronted with he's always in the wrong position that he doesn't want at the wrong time. So he's always been like, "You're the king in the north." He's like, "Oh, god damn it! I don't want to be the blooming king.
I don't want to be commander.
I just want to go up. I just want to go live in the north." But this. I think here it just felt like it was too weak a scene.
Yeah.
For like, I get the fact that it was meant to be this emotional gut punch of like, oh, Jon has to kill the woman he loves, who's also the only actual member of family he has left in the whole world. And I get, like, the story tells me that is supposed to be a poignant moment. The show didn't make it a poignant moment. I don't think there's been enough Jon and Daenerys, like, their whole love story since last season literally just went hop, skip, and a love. It was
very rushed,
He looked at it, one time a dragon looked at him and she went, ooh.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, it's like, true.
My lizard loves you, so I must love you. Like
my lizard.
I don't know why.
That's amazing.
So I don't think it was like, I don't really feel like, I didn't feel their connection, especially seeing as for the whole of this series, their interaction, basically, he's just gone, no, I can't possibly kiss you. You're my queen. And that's all he's done this season. So I just felt that this scene just felt a bit flat. Especially when we've just seen her assemble this massive army of Unsullied, and she's having this whole, like, this was like dystopian tyrannical ruler dictator moment. This was like Killzone the game or whatever, when you got the Helghast assembled, or like almost echoes of like 1984 and stuff like that. It had that sort of vibe. And then to him just be like, he just walks past the dragon and goes, huh? And he's like, what?
Yeah, and her delivery of her lines to him before they kissed and all that happened, she was so sweet and so like tender. And I thought, well, again, it would have been like a much more bold conversation, and the delivery for both of their lines. And again, the way that he did it, where he kissed her and said, "Oh, you'll always be my queen," it was sneaky. It felt cheap, like he was just trying to trick her, and that's what I didn't like about it.
I don't know whether they were playing off the idea here that she was going to be like her only play when he's got a better claim to the throne than her in a country in which she's now done this, right? So everyone who isn't the Unsullied and the Dothraki most likely is going to be against her because she's just committed a massacre. So her play here is to sort of suck up to Jon and try and get him on side. And probably the easiest way to get him on side and solidify her claim to the throne is by using his claim as well, by just being like, we'll do it together. So I get that is kind of what they were kind of going for.
I thought you were going to say she was trying to like get him all naughty. I would have liked to have seen it.
I would have liked it to feel a bit more conniving. You know, I would have liked it to feel a bit more like this real actual, you know, she's completely lost it. And she's just trying to use her wiles now to sway him.
Exactly. That's what I wanted from her. And knowing, again, her being a female badass character, it just felt like it felt like she was liking a guy that just sort of ended up screwing her over. And that, as a girl, that was just kind of like, that's how you're going to do it? You're going to kill me. You're going to look me in the face and do it.
You're going to kill me by text?
I've never had to say that to someone. Yeah, you're going to text, you're going to ghost me on text? Wow. He's gonna. You know what he did? He did the Game of Thrones equivalent of leaving a breakup post-it like they did in Sex and the City. You probably don't get that reference, but for any girls watching, you know what I'm talking about. That one stung like a bee dragon. I don't know.
A bee dragon?
I don't know. I don't know where it's going.
Bee.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking about Sex and the City.
So we've spent the last however long, like 10 minutes, discussing one singular scene from this that happened.
Because we're that mad.
Incredibly early on in this episode. That was meant to be like the big finale.
Mm-hmm.
What did you make of the rest of the episode? What did you make of the actual conclusion?
Right. So, the end, the resolution to everything, where we got to see everyone in their new roles, I thought that scene where they're having their meeting, on its own, in isolation, was pretty nice. Yeah. I liked it. Just seeing Tyrion do this thing, and Bronn's there doing coin stuff, and Davos is doing ships, and Sam's the Grand Maester, and Brienne's Kingsguard. I was like, this is nice. I like this. In context with everything else, not great.
No.
But yeah.
What did you make of the Republic kind of scene in which they're all the assembled lords of Westeros are discussing who will be king?
That was so out of
Tyrion,
left
what
field.
a rogue choice!
It was so out of left field. Yeah.
Right. So I have an issue with this anyway.
Here's this sociopath that I think should be the king.
What?
He has no feelings.
I don't understand that at all.
Yeah.
But anyway.
He's the best choice because he couldn't care.
Because we forgot about him.
Yeah.
When we were talking about it the last episode, none of us mentioned Bran, by the way.
No.
Yeah.
None of us.
No, because he was built up to be not worthy to be a king because he's an overwatching guardian who knows like almost too much about everything.
Yeah, he's a library that's now a king.
Yeah.
A backseat guy. He's a backseat gamer is what he is.
He's creepy AF.
So I didn't get how Tyrion was allowed to monologue because he was a prisoner.
Yeah.
How does that one work? Also, why was he a prisoner? Like, why did Daenerys let him live? Like, she said, the next time you betray me will be the last time.
Yeah.
He committed treason, which in the show almost exclusively has resulted in death every time treason's mentioned. And she's now gone mental, so she's much more likely to kill someone.
Yeah.
Why didn't she
didn't
kill
just
him?
kick him down those hundreds of
I
stairs.
thought she was going to kill him right then and there. I really did. I was like, uh-oh, here he goes.
That's what I thought. He took
Bye-bye.
off his hand of the queen symbol and threw it aside and said, you committed a citywide slaughter. And she's like, yeah, okay, I'm going to take my prison out. Like, no, just
You
kill
go over
him!
there. You sit on the naughty step.
I think potentially that is also her sort of going, look, I'm not all bad. You know what I mean? This is if you'd just been called on like, if someone called your bluff to be like, you know, you've done something really naughty, you wouldn't be like, well, I'll kill you for that. Like,
I wish you would have.
I'd be like, here's some flowers.
Yeah.
Like, you know.
Would you like a mint? Something. But honestly, the brand thing was so weird. And again, he's creepy AF. He's just kind of like the dude that's always like, I feel like he's watching me when I sleep and in the shower. I don't want to talk about it. But the good thing is, you know, Bran is something that was unexpected. I liked that we didn't really think that was coming. He's a benevolent little guy. And, you know, he doesn't have a throne anymore, but he's already sitting down. So you have to think about the fact that there are pros.
They could staple some swords to the back of his chair. And then
New Iron Throne.
moving Iron Throne.
Yeah.
But he has to sit and rule. Half of it's already done. He's sitting.
Yeah,
it is weird to feel like someone who kind of knows the past and the future to a degree, all merged into one, is steering the future of like what future is he steering them to? Like it's really odd to think like is he just trying to make stuff happen as it's always meant to happen, or is he trying to guide them through the skeins of time?
Is he intervening or not? Yeah. Just
and
stoner,
then when he was there, and they were just, and Tyrion said, "Why?" And Bran was just like, "Oh, why else do you think I'm here? I'm obviously going to be king." It's like, wait, you knew that all along? What? Did you know this all along, or did you not? I'm so confused by everything. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Maybe he's just pompous and he wanted us to think, oh, I knew it. That's why I'm here.
Yeah,
I was like, no, you didn't.
I knew this was going to happen, you guys.
Totally.
It's like that guy when you're in like a pub quiz and someone goes, oh, yeah, I knew that answer. Yeah, I just forgot it at the time. I just knew it afterwards. Yeah.
I'm a three-eyed raven.
But this is the thing. So, like, he's the three-eyed raven. So then they decide, like, what's going to happen with all the Starks. Sansa says the North is going to become its own kingdom.
Yeah.
And he's just like, cool.
It's it's fine.
Why does she get to decide
That's
that?
fine.
What about the other 6 kingdoms? Why don't they get choice?
Yeah.
What's going on?
And then Sansa's like, it's going to remain an independent kingdom like it has been before. And it's like, but it wasn't before. It's the Seven Kingdoms.
Well, no, but I mean, they mean before the Seven Kingdoms, I guess, came about. But like,
But,
yeah,
like,
I'm sure a lot of the
I
other
don't-
kingdoms were also independent kingdoms before
Or maybe they
that.
wanted to be, and she just got it because she's like, she knows the king now, and it's
Well,
a brother.
this is
whatever.
the thing. I get, and I actually liked this moment because I liked when Sansa sort of went, like, she clearly was angling. She's always said, like, one of the first things she says in Game of Thrones season 1 is like, I just want to be queen. And like, and she's been essentially groomed to be queen.
True.
Had all these horrible things happen to her with princes and royalty, and realizes that actually to be queen, she needs to be kind of the Lady of Winterfell queen on her own.
Yep.
And so the only way she'll be queen, the queen in the north, is to break off and become the north become its own kingdom, right? So like she's achieving her goal that she's had forever, just in a really douchey way.
Just
Really
by
weird
announcing it.
way.
So this is what's going to happen. That's pretty
Yeah.
much what she did.
What are you gonna do? Get out your chair?
Yeah. It's true. It was so weird. She's like, well, this is what's going to happen. That's it.
And everyone else there was just like, yeah, it's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, not a problem.
Yeah, I thought that was a very weird
It's because
moment.
she's hot.
Arya's,
Yeah, probably that.
Arya's saying like, I'm gonna go sail off what's west of Westeros.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
Bran can tell you.
North of us?
Bran
Yeah,
knows.
I know
South of us?
everything.
Yeah.
Just tell her what's west of
Yeah.
Westeros.
Have a look.
Dude.
Use one of your three eyes for good, will you? Yeah. I kind of liked that she, I always thought, we said last episode, like I kind of hoped that she would be on the Iron Throne. But would she be happy sitting there and telling people what to do? Probably not. She's a fighter. She's a badass. She wants to go out and do her own thing. So I applaud her for that. But like you said, where the hell is she going? What if
Yeah.
something's really bad out there?
What if it's just ocean?
There could be no Wi-Fi. You have to think about these
that's
things.
something they've said before in the books, maybe, is that they're mostly west of Westeros is nothing.
And
It's
Krakens.
Just
more-
ocean. She'll be
just more
sailing
ocean.
out there
Yeah.
forever.
Then she meets the Pirates of the Caribbean, and Disney comes in and makes it a whole new
Crossover.
show. I love
Can't
it.
wait.
Johnny and Arya.
I think so. I just think I was really,
Jacqueline.
really giving this series the benefit of the doubt, and I actually enjoyed quite a lot of it. Like I wasn't as hard on it, I think, as a lot of the fans have been so far. But yeah, this episode to me just went, oh, they had no idea. I really felt like it was going somewhere, and I was waiting for stuff to happen, like Varys' letters, what was happening with that. The whole
Nothing.
Jon's claim to the throne just didn't come up for a whole episode.
Doesn't
like,
matter.
They just went off to the wall, you go. Like
Yeah.
no one at that meeting went, Jon is the one who's he's literally allowed to sit on the throne.
Yeah.
So maybe he should. Because he is still ostensibly the best person to do it, because he's probably got the most loyal amount of followers, and he built that up before anyone knew he was allowed to be on the throne. Like he had no claim to the throne, and saved the world. Basically, like was the person who put all the pieces together to save the world. So I don't know. It just feels a bit
And-
weird to be like, oh no, it's this guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they constantly said through the whole thing, the best person to have the throne is someone who doesn't want it, right? That was the thing they always built up. And then Bran said that back to Tyrion when Tyrion was like, no, I don't want to be Hand of the King. And
Yeah.
Bran was like, but you don't want it. And you just said the best people for that is things that don't want it. Jon doesn't want the throne.
Yeah.
Give him the throne. Bran wants the throne because he said, why else am I here? So he wants the throne.
Yes, yeah.
Here's a question. What does Jon want? I feel like he just wants to live off the grid and have like a boring plain Jane wife and like
He does.
Yeah.
He wants to
No
hang
So
wonder
I
out.
think
I hate
actually
him.
what they were doing
What an
really, by
underachiever.
sending him to Castle Black, what they were doing was essentially giving him what he wanted.
Yeah.
They were like,
Being a lazy
this
ass.
This is your retirement, John. Because
You're
also, like
so
you said,
boring.
like you said in your review, there is no need for a Night's Watch. If the Night's Watch was
Why they watch
founded
it?
to guard the wall, which there isn't a wall,
Well, there
it's
isn't a
now
wall.
a hole, and to look out into the north for whites and wildlings, the whites are dead. The wildlings are friends. There is nothing to guard against except the other thing they were looking for was direwolves. You're mates with direwolves now.
Yeah.
I think you're fine.
You don't need a Night's Watch.
And he pet the dog at the end of the
Yeah.
day. Everyone
that
was
was
very
the best
excited.
bit of the episode.
Yeah,
best
it was.
bit of the episode, he pets Ghost.
Dog petting.
Finally.
Yeah. You're going to think I'm crazy, but y'all, I walked away being sad. Okay, maybe I turned it off, but then I put it back on because I was having a little moment after the whole Daenerys thing. But then when I did return to the Game of Thrones finale, there were some things that didn't make sense, but I have to tell you, my feelings afterwards were very sad because I was just sad that it was over as a big fan of the show. Very, very sad. Felt a little bit of a loss. But to be honest, and maybe I'm somebody who loves like music and cinematography and stuff, the ending where they all sort of did their own thing and they all at least were at peace, I was pretty darn satisfied. I was.
I think how it was shot, and it looked very nice. And there was a great shot earlier when Daenerys was going full dictator, when she walked out and then the dragon wings behind her.
Very
I was
cool.
like, oh, that's cool.
Oh, snap.
Objectively, that's really cool. And then, the cinematography and how it was shot at the end of everyone doing their thing and walking down and everyone kind of bowing to Jon, Arya, and Sansa all in like different succession. I thought it looked really nice. It's just that the emotion and the reasoning behind it didn't quite hold up, so it didn't quite have the emotional impact that it needed to.
Yeah. Are you going to sign the
it was
petition
good.
to get it rewritten?
Absolutely not.
I'm not an idiot.
Signing this
I'm
stupid
not an
thing.
idiot.
I know.
No.
That's too far, you guys.
Way too far.
Don't do that.
I think I get the idea. Like, it was never gonna. I think it was too hyped. Game of Thrones. It
Absolutely.
was never going to resolve in a satisfying manner for everyone anyway. But I feel like they could have done more with this series. They could have just done another series, really. I feel this series should have been we deal with the Night King as a series.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
then next series is we deal with Cersei.
Totally agree.
And that
Totally agree.
That gives you a bit more time to because HBO, as far as we know, wanted more, and it was the writers and the showrunners who didn't want to do more because they want to move on to other things. I'm sure a lot of the actors also don't really want to be spending 6 months a year in Belfast or wherever it is.
Belfast is awesome, but I know what you're saying.
Yeah, but like
they want to do other
you don't want to be
things.
spending doing the 55 days of night shoots they did.
Yeah.
For the long night episode. Like, you don't want to be doing that all the time.
And they don't want to be
do wanna finish it.
typecast as that character that happens all the time with people that they're in a show for 10 plus years or something, and then you can only see them as that.
Well, they were all
Harry
babies
Potter.
when they started doing
Exactly.
it. Now they're all, we were watching all the kids from the first series of Game of Thrones just grown up and off doing their own stuff now. Like, Bran's the king, so the youngest is the king, and you're just working backwards through there doing to the least important Jon Snow. who's the
Least
eldest.
important.
But I do just feel like, if we'd have done this series was the Night King, and the next series was Cersei and the sort of actual final quest for the Iron Throne, you could have done a bit more of the Game of Thrones style. Because the problem is they trained us in the first few seasons to be like, look, basically for 10 episodes, not a lot's going to happen. And then something really big's going to happen at the end. And you're going to go, oh my God. Like when the Red Wedding happened, I stood up out of my chair, and I don't do that for television. I just went, what the? No!
Not today.
And so I think they trained us into this sort of like slow burn. Really, you watch the gears of people's minds working throughout a whole series, and then when they do something, you're like, that makes perfect sense. Or I can see why they do that. Or when the big shocking moment happens, you're like, what? I didn't see that coming at all. This series just went, here's a moment, 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 and they were just cascading. I think the best episode of this series was episode 2, when they're just having the conversations before the long night starts.
Yes, I
was
loved
amazing.
that one.
They just sat around the fire having
Amazing.
chats and barely anything happens to advance the plot because you're just waiting for the plot to begin, and it's all you're doing is paying off relationships that have been set up for 7 seasons.
But that's so satisfying to do that, and
Right,
it's character giving them layers, and I loved that. It's a
But
great
when you
episode.
can have moments like that in this series, you just feel like if we'd have just done that a bit more, this big payoff would have all felt, actually earned for episode 3. And then you could have done, and then hopefully they could have sorted out what they were going to do for the final bit, because that final bit was just like, la 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 la, throne's gone, king now.
Yeah.
It was just
that
rushed.
all just felt far too rushed, and like things they were setting up never got paid off. And I do now feel disappointed by the finale and the final season. So yeah, sad times.
Very sad times.
Now what?
I enjoyed the first 2 episodes of this season. I did not enjoy episode 3. I thought that was a bit pants. And then 4 and 5, I was like, okay, yeah, maybe. And then the finale, I was like, no, okay, you lost me again. There was like, it was starting to get good again. I was like, maybe there's something here. And then nope. Just diverted my expectations right at the end in the worst way possible.
Pete,
Not a
what does
good
pants
way.
mean?
Rubbish.
Okay.
Terrible.
What's rubbish mean?
Garbage.
Trash.
Trash.
Got it. I figured that's what you meant, but I thought I should ask.
Yeah.
Pants. I thought you meant
Pants.
like, I don't know.
Because it's like
Proper
it's
rubbish.
like underwear.
Underwear. Yeah.
Because you say pants for.
I said trousers
Get it.
once when I went to the U.S. a few months ago. People were shocked.
I am so
I'm
proud of you.
becoming
They said,
one of
"Get
you."
out! Imposter.
Yeah.
Anyway, I feel like we're getting sidetracked.
Okay, so couple of final thoughts. Would you be excited to watch spin-offs of Game of Thrones?
No.
No, I don't think they should mess with it anymore. I mean, Arya having a spin-off would be the most, I think, enjoyable, but I think they should leave it alone.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I think spin-offs would be interesting. Would you, so if I said, are they spin-offs that further the story from where we are now or tell the story in the run-up? Would you prefer a prequel or a sequel?
Oh, spin-offs. Prequel, no.
I would prefer prequels because I don't really care what happens from now onwards because we've already... It seems like they've sort of resolved everything. Sure, we could see Arya's aquatic adventures and see where that one goes, but I'd like to see, like, how did Khal Drogo get to power? I'd like to see that. See his childhood, his upbringing, and then like see how he managed to become a cool
a show with Khal Drogo.
Yeah.
Now you have my attention.
That's mainly why I want to see that series because
me too. That's why I'd like to see.
Who doesn't like Jason Momoa?
So I think the other thing they could do with prequels is you've already got a predetermined outcome, and clearly the outcome is the bit they struggle with.
Exactly.
So if they did the Fall of the Mad King as like a series in which Jaime Lannister, we know that Jaime Lannister is going to kill him.
Yes.
So just do that because I'd love to see all the machinations in the run-up to that downfall and the rise of Robert Baratheon and all that kind of stuff. But we don't have to screw the pooch on the ending because we already know what the ending is.
Exactly.
Everyone can sit there going like, I wonder how Jaime will do it.
Yeah.
That's fine. It's
That's
fine
great.
to just sort of know that. So my last question, which I am now forgetting...
I was going to say, I'm just looking forward to Arya's aquatic adventures coming soon to Nickelodeon and the Disney Channel.
I was going to say, it would
also
just be...
in Spanish.
Of course! Arya the Explorer! I love it! That's so cute! I can picture her like...
She
just turns to the TV, just breaks the fourth wall, just be like, where are we going to go now?
Whose face am I going to take next?
Needle. And she says it twice in Spanish again. That is needle.
Needle's like
Needle's
an animated character that just kind of pops up and he helps her decide where to go. I love this. Fuego.
What? Would you be excited for the spin-offs? What was my other question? Oh, yeah. Do you think there'd ever be a TV show like this again? Just in terms of like how into this people have been for 10 years.
Yes.
Yes.
You think?
Yeah.
Not anytime soon.
No?
I don't know. I love Stranger Things more than I love Game of Thrones.
Because I think the level to which this has changed, the landscape of television has changed around this. But this has probably been one of the only things that has kept traditional television viewing alive in the sense that like probably this is the only show that I watch every week without fail at the time it goes out, or as close to that as I can get to.
That's a good point. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I just there's a few other shows that like Line of Duty, but that's because I'm a sad act. But that's just because I happen to be in on Sunday nights. So in general, so I don't think there's much out there that will quite have as many people.
Yeah.
Desperate to watch it at the time it goes out as this.
That's fair.
That's true.
I think there'll be other shows. Obviously, I think there'll be other fantasy. Fantasy killing spree shows.
Yeah,
of course. Yeah. I think there will be something, maybe not as big as Game of Thrones, but there'll be something that a lot of people latch onto because we've had stuff, especially in recent times, when they know how to build a fan base over time. When you've got the MCU, when you've got Game of Thrones, things like this that have a massive long arc and a payoff, whether good or not, at the end of it. I think people have seen that formula and they'll try to replicate it. Some won't be successful, for sure. But I think in time, probably not anytime in the next few years, but maybe 5-10 years down the line, there'll be something that will grab people, that will be new and innovative, and people will be like, oh, it's the next Game of Thrones, or it's something. Something will catch people's attention.
Could be a different genre, too.
Yeah,
something
exactly,
like Westworld was probably a good example of something that had that same buzz about it in the first season, and I think the second season got a bit too confusing, but also because the premise of the first season was built around this internal mystery. And I don't think like that's not the way to build a series that people keep coming back to, because then you bake in the idea that there'll always be this internal logic loop and mystery that you have to work out, and chances are you'll never come up with one as satisfying as the first season of Westworld's. So I don't know. Like I feel there'll be a rush now to fill the Game of Thrones void build something up on the melted podium of the Iron Throne.
Right.
This is the new one.
It's just a hunk of junk by now. No, you're right. And I will, sorry to use a wrestling reference, but with wrestling, you don't meet people that say like, oh, I watch it sometimes. You meet people that have nothing to do with it, or they love it, they live through it, they're diehard fans. With Game of Thrones, more so than wrestling, pretty much everyone loves it and dies for it. I've met maybe a handful of people that don't really watch it, or they do the thing where they're like, everyone loves it, so I'm not going to watch it because I'm a rebel. But I'm telling you what, pretty much everyone loves Game of Thrones, and that's going to be hard to beat for sure. Yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you guys. That is all we have time for in our longer form review of the Game of Thrones finale. Please get the videos that have appeared on the desk, and there's a subscribe button floating around there. I've been Fakidor Laurie Blake. This has been Chopper Pete. Now, that has been SoCalVal, and remember, we're watching.
Game over.